Okay, so my healing journey started because of the relationship with my partner. I think we had been married or together for 6 or 7 years. We started a business, and this is year 3 of the business, and it is stressful. When I tell you guys I didn't know if we were gonna make it, I didn't know if we were gonna make it. We learned a lot about each other, a lot of how we did not respect or had good communication skills with each other, how asleep we were in our relationship, kind of there's just so much. We both I was living very unconsciously at that time. Um and so how I knew that. How did I know I was living unconsciously? How did I know that this wasn't working? This wasn't what I wanted. It was because I felt lonely inside. I spent every day with my husband. We worked together, we come home. We spent almost, whether or not we're in the same room, we're still together every day in the same house, in the same space. And I still felt lonely. And I would say things to him like, I feel lonely. I feel sad. I feel alone. I feel like I don't know you. And he's like, well, we talk every day. We talk about family, about retirement, about goals and stuff. And I'm like, that is so, we don't have any intimacy, partnership, relationship intimacy. Like, I felt like I didn't know anything about him after 6, 7 years of being with him. We just talked about like what I felt at that time was surface level stuff. Yeah, we had arguments, we had hard conversations, but we never really talked thoroughly through them. We didn't know how to validate each other's feelings or experiences, and we were projecting our hurt and traumas onto each other like crazy. And I see that now, and I've learned a lot about myself. Like, I'm a big people pleaser, and I didn't realize that. I always thought I was strong, independent, smart. I can live by myself if I had to. I don't have to be married. I can pay my bills. I can do everything that I need to do alone. I've never really conformed to like the Hmong tradition or the traditional Hmong daughter, nor did I want to be the traditional Hmong daughter-in-law with all the expectations. I want to do things because I love and care for people, and I show up because I love and care for them. And so I thought I was all those things, and yet my relationship was failing, and I was just going with the motions. And that's when I said things like, I feel lonely, I don't know who you are, I don't know much about you. I knew that I had reached a point where I need to do something, or this is not going to work out long term for me. And so that was probably early 2020, very early 2020. And then in November of 2020, my brother, he was 27, he also passed away too. And so that really catapulted the journey. It's like, okay, you are on your healing journey, but now you gotta be on your healing journey. And that's actually how I got into QHHT. So early January 2020, when the business was at its slowest. January is the worst month for food businesses and maybe most businesses all over. It's been Christmas, everybody's done spending money, they kind of want to save money until like February, then it starts picking up again. So that's how I fell into QHHT, and then I loved it because I love helping people. I think I'm a naturally a person of service, and so I feel like I bring value to the world when I provide a service. So that's why I love QHHT. Anyway, after each session with each person, there's just so much more to learn. Before 2020, I had no idea about childhood trauma, about projecting, about gaslighting, about boundaries, about communication, emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, all of that. Like, zip nada. I've been learning how to be a better person, better business person, better leader, but nothing personal and healing. Nothing about shadow work. Like, what the heck was that? And so 2020 and I've always been into spirituality, so I would say 2012 was probably like the uprise of my life. Everything, goals, school, career, moving out, all of that was like peak. And then I met my partner, and we've basically been together since I met him. And I met him as a roommate, not as like a dating partner, so that's why I say it that way. Aliens is what got me into spirituality, because I was brought up Christian, and then I was seeing a lot of things about aliens, and I was reading books and watching people, and then that's where I saw Dolores Cannon's book, and I read it, Convoluted Universe 1 and 2, and then kind of just left it at that, because I'm living life, moving up in my career, being with my new partner. But yeah, fast forward, I got into QHHT, and then I realized that there was more that I needed to learn to be able to help the people that came to see me. The course alone was not enough. The course just basically teaches you how to facilitate a session. There's not much healing techniques in there. There's not much like if they go into this current life, what are you supposed to do? There's not trauma. There isn't soul retrieval. There isn't really any of that. It's more like a journey, investigative journey is what level 1, in my opinion, what level 1 QHHT course was like. And so I had to learn a bunch of stuff, a lot of books, different mentors, different teachers, different courses, blog posts, YouTube channels, like all of that. I did a lot of research in 2020 and 2021, and in 2022 I kind of was more focused on my full-time business, and so I didn't do too many sessions in 2022. But in that year or 2 year, I put a lot of education and resources into how can I better help people that come to see me, and that's where I learned to help heal myself. Shadow work, trauma, childhood trauma, projecting, gaslighting, boundaries. So it started with my partner, my relationship, and QHHT, and realizing that something was missing, and then seeking how to help the people that come to see me help me heal myself. And the very first step was I wasn't focused on anybody else but me. I knew something was missing within me, and work needed done within me first. And then I'd worry about everybody else later. So for me, it was like getting to know my wants and needs, getting to know setting boundaries. And you can't even communicate your boundaries if you don't know what your boundaries are. Biggest lesson I learned at the very beginning, I need to know my boundaries. I need to know who I am, and that I deserve love and respect, and that I deserve authority over my own body. I'm a people pleaser, so I'm still working on that, but I've come a long way. But people pleasing is a big problem for me, even though in my mind I built myself to be the strong, independent woman who goes against the grain. Still people pleasing? Whoa, okay, that's from childhood. That's what they call childhood trauma, that you've is ingrained in your subconscious, and it's a belief, and that you're subtly just like reliving that belief. So a lot of work and education goes behind that. If you don't understand that, then like look into childhood trauma from 0 to 7, and how your belief systems of yourself are formulated within those beginning years, and how they are still carried, and you're still acting them out now as an adult unknowingly. And that, how do you know, is like when you get triggered, probably the core wound is something that happened in your childhood. So with that being said, I was working on getting to know myself, what my wants and needs are, what my actual boundaries were, and then communicating that. That was the hardest part. It was communication, because, naturally my partner was, he'd never done this work either. We were both very triggered at almost everything that we're doing to each other, saying to each other. And so there was a lot of resistance. It was very painful. My body was tense and tight. Every time I wanted to bring up something, I knew I had to defend myself, or like get in a safe space, like protect myself. Like tension in my body. That's how I can best explain it. Tension in my body was how I knew I was gearing up for having a defensive conversation. Hey babe, I want to talk about this. Get tense. Let's get ready to hear, he's gonna attack. And I did that. We did that for a long time, because it's new. We didn't know how to communicate. We didn't know that it was triggers. I didn't understand why I was tensing up. I didn't understand why he was getting defensive. But when I wanted to bring something up, he would have his own story in his mind of oh no, I'm not worthy, I wasn't good enough, what did I this, like, he's shrinking back to his inner child self of not being good enough or being criticized for whatever he did. And that's not my intention. I was just trying to share something. I just wanted to talk about something. Again, he was very emotionally immature. Like, what was that word? He was very emotionally immature, and in essence, I was too. But I decided to go on this path first. I'm trying to give like concrete example, personal example, so that you can have something to hold on to, so it's not so like hypothetical all the time. How did it feel? It was very painful at the beginning. It was painful to communicate because I was being attacked, and then but I was like, I'm gonna try everything that I can do to save this marriage before I just dump it and move on to the next one, because I knew that this would be carried with me. I would have to work through it anyway. And so why not work through it with the partner that I'm already with? We've already built this relationship and this life together, so let me just do all that I can first, everything that I can. And when I feel that I have exhausted everything and that he's not meeting me where I need to be met, then that's when I will decide to plan the exit plan. And so that was and still is my mindset to this day. Obviously, that was 3 years ago, and we're still consistently working, and he's grown and I've grown so much and he's grown so much, and I am just excited for the future. Like, I'm excited for this work no matter how painful it is, because it was so painful and now it's less painful. I can't even explain the hope that I have for the future. Whatever happens, I don't regret anything that I did up till now, because I did everything that I could. I'm doing everything that I can, and we are continuously growing and learning to meet each other's needs. And so eventually he did become less defensive. He learned to get curious. I learned to kind of like question it differently so that it wouldn't be so triggering. And I would just keep explaining, I know that this is painful and this hurts, but I want us to work, and I'm going to keep doing this. I know you feel like this is a goalpost, that it keeps moving, but these are just, a friend gave me the word benchmarks. These are just benchmarks that we're meeting, and our whole relationship, it's going to be a continuous benchmark. There's no end to it. We're going to continuously be learning and growing and communicating with each other. And he eventually started understanding what I was trying to say, is that these are the steps that we need to take to kind of grow and learn how to be with each other. And in my mind, I was like, if he is not gonna meet me, then I'm gonna have to go, but I'm gonna give the very darndest chance to see if this could work through.